You can miss someone and still not be loved well. You can feel wanted and still feel strangely unsafe. That is what makes love so confusing sometimes. Attachment can look a lot like real love at first. Both can keep you awake at night. Both can make one message feel important. Both can make one person seem almost magnetic. So if you're wondering what this feeling really is, you're not dramatic. You're trying to name something your heart already senses. One kind of closeness brings peace. The other brings panic disguised as passion. By the end, you'll know which one is shaping your connection. And the biggest difference usually appears after the spark, not during it. Attachment usually begins with urgency, while real love often begins with interest and slowly deepens through honesty, safety, and time. If someone lives in your mind because losing them feels unbearable, that is a clue worth treating gently, but seriously. Real love can ache too, but it does not turn every delayed reply into a verdict about your worth. Attachment quietly asks, "Will you stay so I can feel okay?" While real love asks, "Can we build something steady together?" One chases relief from fear, and the other grows connection through truth, which is why they can feel similar yet lead somewhere different. Attachment is often fueled by what the person regulates inside you, while real love is built by what the relationship grows inside both people. When it is attachment, the person can start feeling like a solution to loneliness, uncertainty, or old doubts you hoped love would erase. When it is real love, they are not a cure. They are a companion you meet with your own center still intact. Real love does not ask you to shrink, perform, or disappear in order to keep it alive between you. It lets you stay fully yourself while becoming closer, which is why safety often feels quieter than people expect. A simple test is to notice what happens in silence between you, especially after the first excitement begins to settle. Attachment panics in silence and fills it with reassurance-seeking, overthinking, checking, or stories about what the pause must mean. Real love can rest there for a moment, not perfectly, but honestly, without making every pause feel dangerous. If you have ever reread one text looking for hidden meaning, this next difference may land very personally. Attachment is hypersensitive to signals, so a shorter message, a busy afternoon, or a tired tone can feel enormous. Real love notices signals too, but it does not build a whole future from one strange afternoon. It leaves room for context and pays attention to patterns over time, which is one of the healthiest shifts you can learn. Attachment reacts strongly to moments, while real love learns from patterns, and that single distinction can save you months of confusion. Real love becomes visible in consistency, in repair, in the way someone treats your feelings when the mood is inconvenient. Attachment can feel deepest with the least available people, because uncertainty intensifies focus and the chase starts masquerading as meaning. Real love often feels less dramatic in the beginning, and that can make it strangely easy to underestimate. It may not hijack your whole nervous system on day 3. It may simply feel easy to be around them. You laugh, obviously not "who do you think I am?" Speak without performing, and leave the conversation feeling more like yourself, not less. That calm can seem suspicious when you are used to emotional whiplash, but calm is not the same thing as boredom. Another place to look is conflict, because love and attachment reveal themselves very clearly when disappointment enters the room. Attachment fears conflict because conflict feels like a threat to the bond, so you swallow needs just to restore contact. You may shapeshift, apologize too fast, or call your own hurt overreacting, simply because distance feels unbearable. Real love does not enjoy conflict either, but it can survive honest disagreement without making the whole relationship feel endangered. You can say, "that hurt me," without feeling like you have just placed the entire connection near a cliff edge. That matters because attachment often confuses harmony with health, even when silence is really just emotional tiptoeing. If nothing real is ever discussed, it may look peaceful from the outside, but peace without honesty is not intimacy. Real love makes room for truth, not cruel truth or dramatic truth, but truth that lets two people know each other clearly. Do you love the person, or do you love how they interrupt your emptiness when you feel alone or uncertain? Attachment easily clings to relief, to the message bubble, the attention, the closeness, and the feeling of finally being chosen. But real love goes further than the comfort of being wanted. It becomes curiosity about who this person really is. Their values start mattering, their limits start mattering, and the way they treat people they cannot impress starts mattering too. Attachment says, please keep making me feel wanted, while real love says, I want to know the real you. Fantasy becomes another strong clue here, because attachment often falls hardest for potential, projection, and imagined possibility. You can build a version of someone that perfectly matches your hunger, then edit every mixed signal into that story. But over time, real love becomes more accurate, not more imaginary, and that is a very important difference to respect. You see their flaws and keep seeing clearly, which means you're no longer loving a promise more than a person. If this sounds like your experience, you're not alone, and I'd love to hear which part feels most familiar. Now let us talk about the body, because your body often notices the truth before your mind is ready to admit it. Attachment can feel like bracing for impact, even on good days, because your system is always waiting for the next shift. You wait for the next message, the next sign, the next reassurance, and even happy moments carry hidden tension. Real love can still bring butterflies, but it also brings exhale, where your shoulders drop and your thoughts slow down. You are not constantly decoding whether care is still present, because steadiness has already begun teaching your body something new. What gets called clingy is often a need for clarity mixed with fear of losing connection before it feels secure. And what gets called independent is sometimes just distance wearing a nicer outfit and avoiding the risk of vulnerability. Labels miss the deeper point, which is whether the connection helps both people become more honest and more secure. Real love grows security through repeated experiences, through kept promises, respectful repair, clear communication, and steadiness when life gets busy. Attachment often survives on intensity spikes instead, with a beautiful night followed by confusion, apology, distance, and another beautiful night. The strength of your feelings does not automatically prove the quality of the bond you are inside. Strong feelings can come from longing, fear, history, timing, fantasy, or unmet needs that finally found a target. Real love is measured less by how overwhelming it feels and more by how trustworthy it becomes over time. That is why some relationships feel enormous but leave you emotionally smaller, more doubtful, and more dependent than before. If you are unsure which one you are living, notice what happens to the rest of your world. Attachment narrows your world until your mood, plans, and self-worth begin taking instructions from one person. Real love may change your priorities, but it does not erase your center, your friendships, your interests, or your sense of self. Love should deepen your world, not reduce it to a waiting room where your whole life depends on one reply. Attachment wants immediate proof, immediate definition, immediate reassurance, and immediate protection from pain before trust has actually been built. Real love understands that some answers only become real through lived experience, not through beautiful words spoken too early. That does not mean vague forever or avoidant forever. It means truthful unfolding instead of panic-driven promises. This matters when someone says all the right things very quickly because words can sound intimate long before reality agrees. But real love is not only what someone says when feelings surge. It is what remains true on ordinary Tuesdays. It is who they are when nothing glamorous is happening and no moment is begging to be turned into a memory. It is the care that remains after first impressions stop performing and daily life starts revealing character. If attachment feeds on uncertainty, what feeds real love is reality observed with open eyes and patient honesty. The way they handle disappointment matters. The way they hear no matters. The way they protect dignity during tension matters. That is why boundaries reveal so much about what kind of bond this really is. Attachment often fears boundaries because boundaries risk disapproval, distance, or the terrifying possibility of not being enough. So you may overgive, over-explain, accept what quietly hurts, or call self-betrayal generosity because losing them feels worse. Real love does not always like boundaries at first, but it can respect them, and respect is a powerful sign. Without respect, closeness slowly turns into control wearing the costume of care, and confusion gets renamed devotion. Attachment says, without this person, I might fall apart, while real love says, I want this person without abandoning myself. That sentence may sound less dramatic, but it is actually more intimate because the love is chosen, not clung to. It means both people can come close without becoming each other's prison, emergency exit, or emotional replacement for everything else. Someone does not text back for several hours, and in attachment, the mind starts collecting evidence of abandonment immediately. In real love, you may still notice the gap, but you do not instantly turn absence into rejection or silence into disaster. Why does that happen? Because the relationship has already built enough trust to hold a little uncertainty without collapsing. That is why repair matters so much more than perfection, even though many people keep looking for the opposite. Real love is not perfect behavior. It is responsive behavior after mistakes, misreadings, hurt feelings, and human limitations appear. What tells you the truth is what happens next, whether both people can listen, own impact, and move toward understanding. Attachment often struggles here because every rupture feels catastrophic, so the goal becomes fast relief instead of real understanding. Real love may repair more slowly sometimes, but it repairs more honestly because it cares about what the pain revealed. Attachment can make you feel high, but real love lets you feel light, and those are not the same experience. With real love, happiness becomes more inhabitable. You do not just visit it, you start living inside it more often. You stop gripping the moment so tightly, you let it happen, and that softness changes everything. The love that lasts is not always the one that arrives loudest, fastest, or with the most cinematic intensity. Sometimes it is the connection that makes honesty easier than performance and rest easier than emotional guessing. Sometimes it is the person who does not trigger every ache, because they are not asking that ache to lead. If you have been drawn to attachment before, that does not mean you are broken or destined to repeat it forever. It usually means something, and you learn to associate love with unpredictability, earning, longing, or emotional hunger. You start asking better questions than how strong the feeling is or how impossible it seems to resist. You ask how you feel about yourself inside this connection, and that question can quietly transform everything. Do you feel more peaceful, more clear, more respected, and more free to tell the truth? Or do you feel more anxious, more confused, more reactive, and more afraid to say what you actually need? Those questions protect your heart better than intensity ever will, because intensity alone is not proof of love. So how do you know if it is real love or just attachment? Look at what grows inside the connection over time, not only at what ignites during the beginning. If it grows fear, fixation, self-abandonment, and emotional instability, attachment may be leading the dance more than love is. If it grows trust, honesty, respect, steadiness, and room for both people to stay real, love is probably present. The return call matters. The kind answer during stress matters. The boundary respected without punishment matters. The disagreement that deepens understanding matters, and the ordinary care that keeps arriving matters even more than grand gestures. Attachment often asks you to prove your worth before you can finally relax, which is why it feels so exhausting. Real love helps you remember you already have worth and then meets you from that place instead. It does not make you beg for crumbs and call that chemistry, and it does not keep you confused and call that passion. It does not require you to disappear in order to be chosen. It invites you to be known more honestly. If you are standing between these two feelings right now, slow down enough to notice what closeness is costing you. Not in the loudest spark, but in the safest pattern. Not in how hard you cling, but how freely truth breathes. And if you want more conversations like this about love, attachment, and emotional patterns, subscribe and stay close. Because once you know the difference between being held and just being hooked, you stop calling confusion love. And you start choosing what can actually hold your heart with warmth, honesty, steadiness, and room to stay yourself.